Hello. More bugs from Christian. Um, don't know whether intention of pre-listening the same sample or block is only possible for one time. Clicking again does nothing. Remember in earlier versions you could be. Right. So what he's talking about here is the fact that before I remade this, the block browser and the sample browser stuff, in old versions of Blockhead, when you would hover over the left-hand side of this item, there was a preview button that would appear, and you could just like click, 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 and it would preview over and over again. Basically, it would do this. No, that's not working. Why is that not working? My MIDI controller's not working. Enable. There we go. You used to be able to do that just by clicking. But then I remade this browser interface and I added the MIDI functionality. So if you have a MIDI controller plugged in, you can still do that. The reason I removed it, it wasn't meant to be a permanent. I wasn't. I planned to put it back again, but I just at the time I was trying to get stuff done, and I couldn't quite figure out how to make it work in the UI because basically you can resize the items in this list if you have another one like that, and when they get to a certain height, the waveform disappears, and this name moves from the right over to the left. The same thing here. And so the question is, where should this preview button be located? Because I don't want to just let you click anywhere on the item to preview it, because you'll end up like when you want to drag it from here to the workspace. And it just gets a bit tricky. Like, if you just want to click it to select it, for example, so that this panel appears down here, you don't necessarily want to hear it. It's just potentially annoying. So that's why I had this thing where you hover over the left-hand side of the item and that preview button would appear. So if you click on the left-hand side of the item, you'll be able to preview it. So that was quite nice, I suppose. So I could just do it like that, and then I have to think about like how to render this, like when the preview button appears on the left-hand side when you hover this area. It just gets a little bit jank because I would be like rendering a button or an icon over this name, and I would like to have some kind of try to explain what I'm talking about here. So you hover over the left-hand side of the item, right, and then some kind of an icon appears that looks. It would look. It looks something like this with a play button, right? Something like that. And now this B of this word box is like rubbing up against this icon, and it just looks kind of shit. So what I would want to do in that situation is add a bit of a margin. Just say like something like that, so that the name is not moving, but I just add a bit of a mask effect. So now I'm dealing with like masks, and I have to think about how to do that correct with Godot. And so it's just a bit of, I can't just immediately go, okay, this is what I want to do. Let's just fucking do it, because I don't immediately know how to do that in Godot. I'm sure there would be like 20 different ways to do that in Godot, and I would want to like take some time to figure out what the correct way to do that is. Bearing in mind the fact that I could have like thousands of these list items. So anyway, I'm not worrying about that right now, but that will be a thing again in the future. You'll be able to like click mash your left mouse button to preview an item. Because yeah, like you were saying, even if the previous pre-listen wasn't finished, it played in parallel, so you could like layer a bunch of. It was pretty cool actually. You could like trigger it. Well, you can still do it using the MIDI keyboard if you have a MIDI keyboard or a controller plugged in. It won't like reset the sample every time. It'll keep anyway. Yes, that will be coming back in the future. I just need to figure out exactly how I want to implement it. Bug 2. Blockhead crashed while playback. I remember having the F1 panel open, and I clicked the escape key. Okay. Right, so that is this one. Let's have a quick look at this. That's interesting. I wonder what happened there. Wait, where does this message come from? This is not an assertion failure. Doesn't seem to exist. Doesn't seem to exist. No. Doesn't seem to exist. Oops. What did I press? There we go. That's interesting. I don't know if this is a relevant message, by the way. Oh, okay. Fair enough. Right, so plugins. When Blockhead starts up, it starts up a separate thread and loads plugins in another thread, just so that the UI starts up faster. If you very quickly load a project while the plugins are still scanning, maybe the operating system like hangs that thread for a moment because it has to. Maybe the disk is not warm or something, and it's just maybe it takes a bit of time. So if the project starts loading while the plugins are still loading, then you might get this issue where the project contains references to plugins that have not been loaded yet. So it's just because I haven't written things properly. I just sort of threw a lot of this stuff together. So that's what that message is that I'm seeing in the log. I don't know if that's actually relevant to this crash that he's reporting, which would be in this this crash dump. I accidentally just closed Visual Studio. Come back, please. And I think he said that these were 29.1 crashes. So these are the previous. Let's see. Yes. Okay. This does match what he was saying. So I had the F1 panel open, I clicked the escape key. Interesting. Oh, I see. Right. I think I know how to reproduce this. If I open an editor, contract the lane, and then hover over it and press escape. Yeah. So what's happening here is I'm remembering, even when the block is closed, I'm remembering that what editor is open. So that when the block is expanded again, it can reopen it and restore it back to where it should be. So, sorry. Then I have this close cancel shortcut, keyboard shortcut, which is the escape keyboard shortcut, which does a bunch of different things depending on the current state of the system and where the mouse cursor happens to be. So when you hover over a block and press escape and an editor happens to be open, what it will do is close the editor. Then if you press escape again, it will collapse the lane. If you press escape again, it makes it very small. And again, it will collapse the entire track. If I have an editor open, then collapse the lane, then the editor is still open, but the block is not expanded anymore. Then if I hover over the block, it knows that editor is still open. If you hover over the block and press escape, then it's trying to close the editor, but it can't because the editor is like, it's open in the background or whatever, but it's not like visible on screen. So it's assuming that because the editor is open, it must be visible, or the block must be visible. And so we're trying to do things assuming that the block is visible. Right. So I just need to do this. What is happening here? Right, this should be like this. Actually, I should just say this. And that will fix that. I might need to do this again for manipulator blocks, which is almost the same code. Yeah. So that should fix that bug. Still waiting for this coffee to penetrate my system. I did not have a very good sleep last night. Right. Open editor. Do this. Escape. Still crashes. But in a different place. No, in the same place. Right, I'm on drugs. No, this, no. What I should be doing here is expanded, yeah. Because this view is basically, it's not null, but it's like, the Boolean operator returns false if the block is not visible on the workspace. And I was confusing that for the block being expanded or contracted, which is what I actually want to check. So is expanded. Okay, open a editor, close, hover over and press escape, and now it does the right thing. If I go back in, it will still be, editor's still open, yeah. Fantastic. Let's test with manipulators. That, yes, good. Great. Also, if you have a segment currently selected, then escape will first of all close the segment editor, then it will close the envelope, then do that, and do that, yeah. And F to make things really big on the block that you're hovering. Right, that's fixed. Oh, I didn't commit this change that I made. Fix. And close cancel on. Fix. Okay. Yes. Sorry, my brain is still waking up.